Good evening. Welcome to the Raymond Select Board meeting for Tuesday, the 10th of February, 2015. I hope everybody has been having fun shoveling the last few weeks, or at least watching it come down. First order of business, minutes of the last meeting dated January 6th.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Any comments, corrections, deletions, suggestions?
No.
All those in favor? Approved 4-0, thank you. New business. First item of new business today is going to be a presentation on the proposed Raymond Elementary IRT playground project and possible 15-16 town budgetary considerations. We have Alyssa Messer, who's the project coordinator, and Deb Hutchinson from Raymond Elementary School. If you want to go sit over there where Dominic is, he'll get your presentation ready and you'll be able to sit and talk and
Mr. Chairman? Did you want to have a motion to allow non-residents to speak?
Oh, that's a good question. So if I don't, who gets to talk?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Nope. Pretty much.
Huh? Can I have a motion to allow non-residents to speak, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
So Alyssa or Deb, whoever wants to start,
Actually, I'm going to start. I really wanted to thank you for...
will you introduce yourself and say where you're from for me?
Oh, I'm Deb Hutchinson. I live in Raymond. I'm the assistant principal at Raymond Elementary School.
And I'm Alyssa Messer. I'm a Raymond resident, and I have children in the school over across the street.
Great, thank you.
And thank you for allowing us to come tonight. We really wanted to make sure that this project happens for our students at RES. If you've ever been over to and behind the school, it really was never adequately created for elementary school, for even more than 15 kids over there on the playground. And I'm not sure what the reasons were at that time, but it really never was. There's a sloping area, so there's really no place for the kids to play any kind of soccer or baseball or anything without the ball rolling down into the woods. And so we've had some injuries there. We've also had problems with the fencing around the playground. There isn't any fencing around the playground. We've had hunters come on to the playground during the school year. So we really want to do some things for the safety and security of our school, and so that the kids can play. And Alyssa and I both did, we did a survey and just asked the kids and asked the teachers and things that they would like to see. And they really just want a flat place to play. And so pretty much that's where we are. And we wanted to come before you because we want to put some monetary requests on the budget, because with the unknown of the RSU, we wanted to just make sure that this does happen for our kids. So we just wanted to do everything we could. So without too much, let me just show you the little video that the kids made. This is a video that we are going to use for any of our fundraising activities that we have. Let's see.
We made this video, and the children assisted with us to do grants. We've already started submitting grants for the project, and we wanted to come up with a unique way to show a little bit about some situations that have happened at the school and at the playground. So the kids were really creative and came up with this with us.
Alyssa, can I pause you for a second? Dominic, can we straighten that out? I'm guessing it's the projector.
Yeah.
All right, let me figure out where. It's over here, right?
School videos.
Yeah, I need to make this bigger.
Need a folded piece of paper, dude?
There's so much paper under this thing.
You serious? Do you want to finish while I go ahead and talk a little bit further?
Yeah, I wanted to do that. Dawn, if you could help me, I just need to shrink a
So
little
for
bit.
time efficiency, why don't I go ahead while she looks for the video and tell you a little bit about our process and where we've been.
Over here, and I can't get there.
So my husband is involved with the Boy Scouts. here. He's on the board of directors. So I was very familiar with the IRT process. And in a meeting with the Parents Advisory Council, which I sit on with Deb at the elementary school, we recognized that the needs of safety and security for the playground to be addressed in some manner. Now, to give you a little bit of history, we have been addressing this problem. We moved a fence last year down to be a physical barrier because there was no physical barrier on one end of our playground, and kids were running after balls into a parking lot where trucks are delivering food and whatnot to a loading dock in the back of the school. So the PTO has helped us provide money. We knew there were problems. We've been addressing them as the budget allowed. So is it proper for me to assume that you're all very familiar with the IRT process and that, so I don't need to address that at all. So I brought the idea to Deb and said, listen, let's research and see if we can get involved with the IRT while they're here in town. Eric Tarbox has been a huge help to us in being able to provide information and giving us our best foot forward as a town in front of the military, while the town of Raymond has helped us a great deal as well down this avenue. Danielle and Don have been a great partner in helping us. So we had a deadline of December 2014. So we really worked hard from September when this idea came to fruition to the deadline of December 31st, 2014 to submit it to the federal government and the state government. We did that, and then we went ahead and went before the school board in January. That was the time that we could get in front of them and explain exactly what we were doing in our process. So just as a reminder, the military would cover approximately 50% of our project. Our engineers, as you saw in the pamphlet, probably in the design that we're working with, is a $633,000 design as of right now. The school board has given permission for a $32,000 expenditure to go ahead and do the DEP permitting for this process, because we are going back in the back and bringing in approximately 12,000 cubic yards of soil to correct the problem that we have there and expand a playing field and putting the fencing around the back of the playground as well. So the current design was in your pamphlet.
It's starting.
Oh, we have no volume.
We don't have it.
So if you have any information, please let Mrs. Hutchinson know immediately. Thank you and have a great day.
Where is Phil? I don't know, but it's a concerning situation. Maybe hang out with him. Pass it to me. Pass to me with that. Where is Phil? I don't know, but it's a concerning situation. Phil would make it better.
What happened? I went to go get a ball over the fence, and then I tripped over the fence into the woods. Is there anything on my back? It kind of hurts. Oh my goodness. Quick, go get the nurse. He has a tick on his back.
Where is Phil? I don't know, but it's a concerning situation. Phil would make it better.
Watching our fantastic video with our creative actors at Raymond Elementary School in Raymond, Maine. I am Deb Hutchinson, the assistant principal at Raymond Elementary School, and I would like to tell you about a concerning situation.
Our school was built 14 years ago, but the playground was never really completed. The grading of the soil failed to be evened out and has caused several issues similar to the ones that the kids have presented creatively to you today. We are asking for fencing and looking for fill.
Here I am, Phil. What would I help you with?
Oh, no, not you, Phil. We haven't been looking for you. We've been looking for Phil. F-I-L-L, dirt, soil, fill.
Thank you for helping us find our Phil. Phil would make it better.
Yes, it would. We need Phil to help even out our playground and make our playground safe for our students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
So that's the video that we've used in the grant process to kind of make our school stand out a little bit other than off the paper presentations that you normally get. We're proud of the kids. But those are all situations that have occurred on the field, and many more, like the fox and the hunters and the wildlife that we speak of. So the current design provides, by the engineers, provides for an expanded field that is an even level. It also provides for an ADA trail to allow all of our children to be able to use the different aspects of the playground. So where are we currently? We have submitted our applications to the state and to the federal governments. We have gotten a recognition from both of them that they've received it and are reviewing it. We have sat before the RSU school board to present where we are and what we would like to do and how we're moving forward. And we've also begun to submit our grant applications. And we just found about an exciting one that we're going to submit to Town Hall that is a $30,000 grant in the state of Maine. And it is going to be whoever has the most votes. So we're going to put it out there for the town to get involved in. It will be on the town website. I will forward that tonight when I get home. And that was because we are just super excited. Our community's excited, our school, our parents, our kids. We've involved everybody in what would this look like and how are we going to get it done. And so we're excited to have everybody help us out with that because that's a big chunk of change that could really help this project. But that's where we are now. We submitted to you a bunch of pictures and a bunch of layouts. And so at this time, if you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer any thoughts or questions or comments.
So what did the school board tell you when you went to them?
They were very supportive. They asked us, I think we were pretty thorough in our explanation as to why we needed this. There was a safety and security thing from our aspect. And they were very supportive, asked questions, asked us to find out those answers. Most of them were engineering questions that our engineer had to answer. And we went back before them and they unanimously gave us the first step, which was the DEP monetary, about $32,000 to start that process. So I feel really good about where we are.
Joe?
You spoke to the IRT people, right?
In regards to,
The project and when it could start if you got the funding and.
so that's a really tricky question. The IRT, they have recognized that they've received our applications. They can tell us whenever that this project would go. We do understand that there has been some scheduling changes as far as the troops were intended to go overseas for deployment. We understand that that's not the case now, so they are trying to backfill some of their calendars, and perhaps we could fit in that. That's why it could be as soon as next summer, 2016, that this project would be done. Or with the typical time frame, which is a 2-year window, to summer of 2017. We don't have the answers to that right now. It's up to military time.
No. Has the school board made any improvements to Raymond Elementary School? The RSU board?
They have installed the swings,
Mm-hmm.
because we had needed extra swings, so we only had 2 swings for lots and lots of years, and now we have 6 swings. We also transplanted the fence that was up at the top of the driveway down to be lower so that any trucks that came in for deliveries could not get onto the playground even if by accident.
So
That's pretty
is the
much-
idea to bring in fill and put up a retaining wall? Because that properly really drops off.
It's a huge drop, and it would not be to the same level as the school. That would be
Okay.
that would be way too
Mm-hmm.
much fill.
Right.
So no, the plan is a scaffolding kind of thing.
There's
So-
a gradual slope, and that was partially left, intended to, because the kids do really enjoy sledding this time of year.
Right.
So there's a safe sloping scale, and there's also a walking trail that would be accessible. That's part of the ADA too. So there's multiple ways.
Okay. What is ADA?
American with Disabilities.
I'm sorry, yeah, I should have clarified that. Sorry about that.
Don?
So this is a problem that's existed for a long time, a known problem, correct?
Since they built the school, this
Since
is
they
the
built the
playground that
school.
we've had. And you recognized on the video the fenced area with the equipment. Perhaps you noticed that is technically the only playground that comes with the school. You may have seen the area where the
Right.
kids were playing the field, and that has the electrical panel. So that's how they built the school 14 years ago.
Right, so when the school union formed, the RSU, it was known that the playground was deficient, and so I'm guessing that at some point it was planned in the capital improvement plan for the district that there would be work done there, is that right?
It's not, I don't really know all the answers to that question.
I'm getting at the timing of the capital improvement and all of that, because the
Right.
bigger issue coming, I guess, is the potential budgetary issue for the town.
Right.
Right.
And so, is it a play forward, or is it something that was, known and budgeted and in the capital plan now, and that's kind of where my question is,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the timing?
Yeah.
And I was understanding you to say that they had set aside some funds for this?
The school board approved $32,000 at the the January 21st meeting to move forward with the DEP
Right.
permitting process.
But we had no commitment of any funding
No,
beyond that.
no.
So there's no capital plan that says we're gonna spend, X number of dollars in a particular building or facility on a.
Not that I know of.
So they
It's
just,
Go ahead.
And really what, I think what prompted,
Deb, could you lift your microphone?
oh, sorry. What prompted the whole thing was the combination of the IRT and the Parents Advisory Committee really wanting to do something and seeing that maybe this was the time and the place to do it. And I'm also, I have to selfishly say that I probably have a couple more years in my current role, and it's a real big goal of mine to have some kind of nice playing area for those kids. So those things that were in play. And then when Alyssa mentioned the IRT, we thought, wow, if we could get this work done for half the price, then we should take advantage of that.
so nothing was said then as far as what your next step would be after that $32,000?
No.
Bill Hansen has been working very closely with us. He's been involved in every meeting, all the notes and everything, and he's very aware of our process and what it's going to take. And we just will be keeping in front of the board as far as what our needs are and going forward and what happens with the DEP process.
Well, I know that hundreds of thousands of dollars has been spent on the primary school down in Wyndham. So, I mean, if this has been an issue for some time, then the RSU board should be looking at this also, as far as on the Raymond end of it. But you guys are just like, you're the messengers, that's all.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
timing thing with that. The military being in town in Raymond, working
Right.
at Camp Hines and working for the town of Raymond, it's kind of like we feel like it's this is our time. And it's a 50% cost savings. And so that's why we've hit it gangbusters. Like, we already had a passion for it, and then when we put together, the military could pay for half of it. Boy, let's use our connections and use our, things to make this happen for our kids and our community. Because this would be a great field for the community, that area is used a lot in the summertime by families with the walking path and the frog pond trail and all that. So we just really lit the fire underneath it and took off. So
Well, the front of the school picture looks great. And then you look at the pictures and
I
you
know,
show
right?
the back, I'm like, oh, nasty.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we did have a pretty serious injury this year.
Yeah.
In September, somebody fell down the hill and had to be transported
Yeah.
by ambulance.
So I just want to be clear, because I haven't followed this, but your presentation here, and based on the questions that I've heard, the RSU is not giving you any money other than the $32,000.
We can't answer that. I mean,
We don't, we don't have any commitment from them.
And their budget is put together when? I don't know their schedule, so.
They have a draft of it out.
They're
Yeah.
doing, I know they're doing it now, but I don't, really, we don't have any.
So you'll know when, if this is included in this year's budget.
unfortunately for us, it's like a chicken and an egg
I
thing
know.
because we have to wait for the military to say yes in order for the school to say we're going to budget this out, or, you know, and then the school wants us to have the commitment from the military. So we've been working and giving the information that we have to both. And the first thing before we could do anything that we absolutely knew was to do the DEP work, to make sure that this is all a viable, necessary.
The vernal pools.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot, and we back up
Yeah.
to the lake, so we need to be, and we want to be responsible with this process, so.
You probably don't have to worry about vernal pools on the hill. My guess is you're not gonna have to worry about
Actually,
that.
we do have some drawn out on the backside,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Right, yeah, and
Go ahead, Joe.
the dilemma is, with the new funding formula that's gonna,
I know.
you know, if it's gonna be either Raymond's responsible for it, and the RSU says no, or if Raymond doesn't break away and doesn't pass the new funding formula, then it's the responsibility of the RSU, not the town.
Right, that's right, Joe.
That's how we understand it.
That's how we
that's-
understand it too.
That's how we
So this is
understand
a
it.
dilemma,
Yes.
It-
you know, because Raymond doesn't, the town doesn't have 300,000 to just say, okay, we're gonna do this. But, you know, we could bond it, I mean, that's a possibility, but yet we have to see what the outcomes of all the funding formulas are. What commitment is the RSU gonna make? You know, the RSU, like Teresa said, has spent all kinds of money on Wyndham, haven't done much up here in Raymond, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have enough of the history and the knowledge
Right.
to know what they're doing to answer any kind of question other than to tell you that we've tried to be as accurate as possible and as straightforward as possible of what our needs are and what this project looks like to us and how we're driving it forward. We have been progressively on ourselves just trying to get grants to help secure, either way, just trying to be responsible citizens to help get outside money to come in to help our town. So we don't have the
Timing
answers
is
to
everything
I-
in this, because
It is.
if they say we can't get to it till next year, well, it's not our issue in this budget. You know, unless we put away a capital reserve and,
Right,
you know.
I
Yeah,
know. But
so some of the IRT projects that we have going this summer, we applied for 2 years ago. And the town approved, you know, money over time
Right.
Right.
for those. But we had the commitment of the military that if we had commitment of the money, then they would do it. So to
Yes, yeah.
whatever level they could. So it is that whole chicken and egg.
It really is, and we just wanted to make everybody aware of
Yeah,
what
what
the
we're doing.
situation was, so that whatever we need to do, we're committed.
Absolutely.
We should be committed
Right.
Oh, it's great.
to
Yeah,
do this,
absolutely.
but
Checking all
Yeah.
avenues too.
Further
Yeah.
questions for tonight?
No, I think you mentioned it all.
I guess what, you're waiting to hear then possibly something from, you want it to put it in our minds is what it is. And we're not gonna know anything really until March as to
The funding formula.
the funding formula, but that is such a big question because there's so many things that don't match in there. So are you guys looking to come back to us to see, you know what I mean, to see?
I was just gonna say, I'd like to see us keep an open lines of communication as far as where it's standing, what it's going, what
Okay.
we know, what we heard from the military, if that's helpful to you guys, if that's, you know, resourceful as we go through this project. I think the more we talk and communicate as to where we are, I think the better we'll be, and for my opinion.
Right, that's true. I think one of the issues we have is the budget process wraps up early April. You know, if your warrant of 300,000 doesn't get in there in April, it probably doesn't get in there, Danielle.
They have made a budget submission, so
They have.
already, yeah.
Okay.
You guys are on top of it.
with
We tried to be.
Danielle's help,
Yeah,
and we talked
every-
to Don and
yeah.
Danielle about what do we need to do if we do this, and we thought if we didn't need it, then we could just
Stop
say,
the
you know,
process, yeah.
say, no, we're all set, so.
I prefer, can I speak?
Go ahead, Don.
I prefer finding the money from the existing capital plan and some sort of fair apportionment of capital effort between the various schools. And, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I take folks at their word. I haven't studied what's been spent in the other schools, but it was my just casual observation that there hasn't been a whole bunch done here. And so, I mean, that would just seem like the fair and equitable thing to do. It's an issue that's been there for a long time. I've talked to Bill Hansen about it a few years ago even. They were going to do something. So it seems like the RSU folks must have a plan and have, you know, been thinking about this. They must have a capital improvement plan, and it must be part of the capital improvement plan.
Just kind of talking out loud.
And so it would seem to me that there ought to be funds somewhere, and you know, frankly, $300,000 against the school budget is a de minimis number. Against the town budget, it's a significant number.
So you put the request in, so it'll be considered by the budget committee and the select board as they have their deliberations. Whether it makes it in or not is up to the final determination of
absolutely understand.
the budget process. And I guess,
We'll just
let us
keep
know.
you informed, yep.
I helped build that playground 14 whatever years ago it was,
Right.
and I thought then, how do you have 5 grades
Yeah,
rotate out here?
yeah.
And you know, I
Yeah.
thought about that then, and I assumed they were going to use stuff up front more. But again, with the cars and the driveway and
Yeah.
it's hard, you can't do
Too
it.
many people
Yeah.
coming
So-
in and out, so.
Thank you, please keep
Thank
us
you.
up to
Alright.
date.
Thank you
Will
for your
do.
time.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Very interesting.
Lefty loosey.
Our next item of business is consideration of transferring Raymond School property to RSU 14. Bill Stockmeyer is here, who's the RSU attorney. Bill, you can go up to the podium, or you can come sit in one of the blue chairs, whatever you prefer. Do you have a preference? I do not, no. I'm leaving it up to you.
I'll come closer.
We're pretty casual here.
You may be the first invited attorney, though, to sit at.
Usually we make attorneys stand outside.
So we'll see how this goes.
You might be, I don't know.
Might be the last.
Yeah. So, Bill, we have nothing in writing, I don't believe, other than the outline of the paragraph here. I'm just double checking to make sure.
I think something-
Oh, there we are. We
there
do
was
have
that
something
was
in writing.
passed around a while ago.
Yep. So, anyway, Bill, go ahead. I would start from the beginning with what you know and what you're asking for, and let's have a conversation.
Sure. The RSU was formed by vote of the voters in Raymond and in Wyndham pursuant to a state law providing for consolidation for schools. Under the reorganization plan that was approved, both towns agreed and approved transferring their school properties to the RSU. Around 2011, I want to say, we were contacted and began the process. There was quite a lot of complexity, frankly, to the properties in Wyndham because of the interconnection between the municipal offices with school property, and all that had to be unwound. I think we also had some issues identifying all of the properties in Raymond. We located it turns out there's a bus turnaround on Deep Cove Road, which I'm not sure everybody knew about that, but so we identified the properties.
Which
and
belongs to the RSU?
currently all of these properties belong to the town still.
Right.
So, so it's a somewhat odd situation. The schools are operating and in the buildings. The properties are still owned by the town in the case of Raymond. Wyndham's deed was finished up, and Wyndham conveyed its school properties to the RSU. And so what the school district is seeking is approval of a proposed quitclaim deed of the school properties. This deed has been reviewed by the town's council and approved, Shauna Cook Mueller. It includes reservation of general public rights to use the existing trails on the undeveloped portions of the property, including the nature trails behind Jordan Small, the Frog Pond trails at Raymond Elementary. The deed also references the protections that the town has against the school being closed by the RSU. Everyone is always very concerned about that. The statutes do not permit the district to cease to use the school. That's the definition of a closure, is to cease to use it. Or transfer the school without approval of the voters in Raymond, and only in Raymond. So Raymond voters control that, and if the town, with the approval of the voters, if that happened, the other protection is that the school district is required to offer the buildings to the town, and is not permitted to sell them unless it's done that. So these were concerns that were raised, I think, in the discussions with Don. Perhaps he was in discussions with you folks, and so those provisions are in this deed. And that's basically it. I think there are legal compliance issues associated with it since it was approved and is to be transferred. I think there are certain liability issues because the town still owns the property where I think someone mentioned that someone fell and was injured out on the school property. That's still your property if that should happen. And if there are to be, I'm not entirely involved in what's happening with the discussions about the cost sharing, but suffice it to say that the building should be owned by the school district in order to keep it maintained and improved. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Bill, could you highlight the properties? Do you have a list of them
Yeah.
there? Because like I said, we don't have,
Yeah.
nothing was provided with us ahead of time specific to the properties for our packet now. Whether
Okay.
that was an oversight or not, but we just don't
Yeah,
have
I
it. So I don't know, I don't even know which properties we're talking about.
There's a list in the exhibit to the deed. It's the Jordan Small School, the Jordan Small School Field. There's a separate deed of the nature trails behind Jordan Small School, so that those rights would be included. The Raymond Elementary School and the bus turnaround on Deep Cove Road. Those are the properties, those are the deeds that involve the school properties.
How does the bus turnaround on Deep Cove belong to the school?
Belongs to well,
That's what
it is was obtained for school purposes originally.
Right, it was obtained for school purposes, but it's not the property of the school.
All of these properties are the town's properties right now.
Right.
And
So why would we give you the rights to the bus turnaround on Deep Cove?
The reorganization plan that was approved said that all real property interests, including without limitation land buildings, other improvements to realty, easements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, of the Raymond School Department shall be conveyed to the new Raymond School District. So I think it's a question of what was the use of that property. Was it being used and maintained by the school department, or was it being used for municipal use?
Well, it's been maintained by the town.
Well, sure, all the properties were
But it
maintained.
also has a garbage container there. The school has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so that one's probably a hard one for us, but
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
don't-
what the conversation's about.
Our assumption was that because it was it was described as a bus turnaround, that it was a school property, but I don't think it's a big deal one way or the other.
Go ahead, Tom.
We don't intend on relinquishing the town's interest in it, but as Joe points out, there is a, recycling and MSW collection container site there, and we have not and do not intend to restrict it's a turnaround for buses or other, users. So I don't know if that one's that critical for you, but it's critical for us because
Sure.
it's our depot for our.
Sure, then in that case, I
dumpsters.
think it should be taken out.
And the school has done nothing there except turn around. That's it.
Yeah, then it should be taken out.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Bill, do you know if these properties have been surveyed for this?
I do not believe they've been surveyed. We're using the existing deed descriptions. So far as I know, they're not surveyed properties, but I can't swear to it.
Part of the reason that I'm asking that is when we built the school, and this is my understanding, not a fact by anything other than what I've heard, when we bought the school, state funding only allowed us to get X amount of land, and the town bought X amount more with town money versus school money, I guess, or however you want to look at it. And I'd want to understand that as well. If it hasn't been surveyed, is what actually went with the school, what is of the town, which at the time we didn't care about,
Sure.
but I would think if there isn't a survey or something to explain that as part of the deed, which again I haven't read the deed, so.
That's a funding issue, not a real estate or deed issue. So it's not uncommon when schools are
built with state school construction subsidy funds, that the state agrees to subsidize a certain number of the acres at a fair market value. Costs in excess of the fair market value or additional acreage is not part of what the state contributes towards. In terms of this operation of the school, it's not distinguishable in terms of the deeds. There's no separate deed of the property. It's all the school property.
No, I understand that, but I guess I would be curious is.
Yeah, it was
does
town
the
money that bought the extra land.
Sure.
Not school money.
So
Understood.
does
Yeah.
the school need all that land? That's part of my question on the survey is what does the school need for land?
Well, my understanding is it does, but, you know, we're just following what the
Sure.
agreement was.
But that's just part of my, yeah, but part of my question. Don?
Since you divided the land in Wyndham and it was town and school commingled land, how did that division take place? Did they convey just what was you know, required and what was originally funded under any school construction funding formulas, or did they how did they go about that in Wyndham? So you must have run into this already. Or did Wyndham just convey all the lands that had been used or been known as school lands?
I'll have to double check because I think it's been over a year since I looked at that one. But as far as I know, all of the property used and needed for schools were conveyed. I don't recall that anything was withheld. There were properties, I believe there may be a shared parking arrangement where the municipal building is in proximity to, I think it might be the superintendent office. But as far as I know,
I guess my question more directly is, are there excess lands beyond what's required for the school that were owned by the town of Wyndham that were conveyed from the town to the school?
I believe all the school property was conveyed to the school district.
Okay.
Well, I don't think it's a question of school property. I think it's but town property, kind of like the same thing, because you had mentioned when you first started talking that there was some issues with town property and school property mixed. So did the town keep any of that property out? And I think what I'm confused on is you're saying school property, school needs. I understand that, but when it's in excess, you know, like this land lot was for the REFs for Raymond Elementary up here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, did Wyndham keep any of it?
I don't recall that they did, but it's been, as I say, quite a while, so
Okay.
I'd have to check that, and I can do that.
Joe?
In your experience, when towns separate from an RSU, does the RSU turn around and ask for money for the property from the town, or is it usually a conveyance like you want the town to convey it back to the school?
We've worked on a number of school withdrawals where towns have withdrawn from school districts. In all the cases I'm familiar with, which I think is all of them, where a withdrawing town had a local elementary school, that school was conveyed back to the town at no charge. If there was bonded indebtedness, the relationship with regard to payment for the debt had to be accounted for somehow, but that would
Because during the consolidation talks in 2008, in which Teresa and I were part of, it was supposed to be part of the agreement that the town was going to convey the land, yet if we somehow separate, it comes back at no charge.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't know if it's in the agreement. I don't believe it is.
I was told from the state of Maine that we have to negotiate that property and as part of a withdrawal agreement.
You do have to negotiate as part of the withdrawal agreement, but in this case, as far as I know, the school is being used by Raymond and Wyndham children, or just Raymond children?
We're now just Raymond.
Raymond
Yeah,
with a couple
so-
Wyndham kids, yeah.
Yeah, so I have no reason to believe there would be any serious negotiation or any question that the school would come back to Raymond based on what's happened in every other withdrawal.
We have that recorded, right, Dominic?
But he can't guarantee during negotiations, exactly. He's just a messenger.
Bill, I understand that this has been an oversight in the process and, you know, somebody didn't follow up and get this done sooner. I mean, you just heard it was 2008, I guess, when we started this. And because so much time has passed, I just want to make sure that we know now what we're actually doing. So I think we all need to see it at a minimum. We need to see what Sean has come up with, minus that turnaround. I am curious on the answer to the question on need versus, you know, how much space. And then we can get this done, you know, as quick as we can. You know, it is part of what we agreed to way back then, and it needs to be done. I just want to make sure that we understand what we're doing at this point.
If I understand the questions, they are there any surveys? Was any land withheld in Wyndham that was previously school department property? The turnaround needs to be taken out of the deed, and is all of this property needed, all of the Raymond property needed by RSU 14? Did I get?
Yeah, and that might go back to, I know there's rights of way, there's part of the septic system, and so that's fairly complicated when they bought the land and how they had to acquire the land to get the right of ways to make sure that you have the right of ways to the septic, to the, I mean, there was.
Trying to think if that was like 97 and 98 when all that went on.
There were some complications there that led to,
Right.
I think, us having to buy a very large parcel, and
Plus, we had to buy part of the right-of-way from Mrs. Small, whose property came on
right, in order to
into a
get
survey.
the septic. So I just
Yeah.
want to be clear on what's going back, and maybe that's in there, but because we don't have anything to review,
Right.
which we can have for our next meeting, and maybe if you get the questions answered for the next meeting, then we can have another discussion.
Great.
If that would be, what else do you need from us, Bill?
That's all. I think what the district is looking for is just approval and a vote to execute and deliver the deed. And obviously there's some concerns you want to have addressed first, so we'll try to address those and perhaps meet again in this chair.
Yeah, or you can take one next to it, or
You come even closer if you want.
yeah, you can have the high-backed one, maybe. Any questions for Bill? Should we leave him with anything else?
No answer.
Question?
No, but thank you.
We good?
Thank you.
Bill,
Thank you.
appreciate you coming out on this snowy,
problem.
cold night.
Thanks for your time.
So I couldn't answer many of those questions, and now Danielle, you get to talk to me about warrant articles for proposed changes to what now? Ordinances?
Ordinances.
So I'm really gonna understand this part, right?
Yeah, well, I think I can, break it down
All right.
simply. So I'm Danielle Loring, and I'm the assistant for the Raymond Planning Board. And on January 14th, they held their public hearing for some ordinance revisions that they've been working on this past fall. And they have 4 warrants. The first warrant has to do with the land use ordinance, the site plan review authority and classification, as well as the submission requirements. I don't know if you folks remember, but last year when we some changes were put forward to allow for more site plan reviews to be reviewed under staff review. But when that was done, it really addressed new site plan reviews and not revisions. So basically, if you've ever gone before the planning board and you come back for a de minimis change, because you had once gone to the planning board meant you'd have to go back again. So this language covers allowing staff to, like the code enforcement officer or the review team, to look at some of those changes and then do them on a much faster and quick, expedited level. So for people in the commercial district who are trying to get projects on the move, like they just want to move a building or take a building off their plan, this would help it to get approved much faster. It's also asking that from now on, when people submit plans, they do it digitally. They not only give us the GIS file so that we can take a subdivision and lay it out much cleaner on our tax maps and save time through our GIS contract, but as well as archive them much easier. So that's the first article. The second one has to do with minimum standards and definitions, and this had to do with the way the accessory apartments were defined. 'cause as of right now, they weren't in compliance with the state plumbing code, and it didn't really make much sense. So they took the definition from the shoreline zoning ordinance and moved it over because it was a much cleaner definition. So that's how what that one addresses. Now, the shoreline zoning table of uses, that one has to do with, number one, adding some things to the table, because if you remember last year we did boating facilities, and so that one had to be added as a use, as well as they changed some definitions last year, such as changing parking facilities to parking areas, and that all had to now be addressed in the table. If you remember, we had a recent application that the biggest concern was with the term municipal. And so we found actually in the ordinance, there's a term called public facilities. So instead of municipals, which really has to do with the user versus an actual use, they took that and now it's interchanged with public facilities. So municipalities will come out as a use and be replaced by public facilities, because that really talks more about scenic overlooks, you know, what it is that you intend to use the property for, because the town attorney warned us that by defining the user, we were actually, you know, kind of constitutionally violating people's rights. So that's now been rectified. And so that one was that. And the last one has to do with street plans. This one for all changes to existing private streets as well as new private streets. We're asking now that everybody on that private street submit a notarized document showing that they recognize and understand the road maintenance agreements. This just makes it cleaner and helps, you know, because what happens is a lot of times the applicant comes in, we notify everybody on the road, but they may not come into the planning board, you know, public hearing, and then come to find out there's a whole list of requirements of things that they have to maintain, and now we're asking that they show proof that they approached all of those users. So they said there was a public hearing held on January 14th, and then it was a favorable public hearing, and all the ordinances and articles were voted with a favorable recommendation to be included on the warrant, as well as for a favorable vote. So what I'm here to ask that the board vote to include these ordinances on the warrant and to give your recommendation. And just a reminder, there's 3 types of recommendations that you give. Positive and neutral allow for a majority vote, and negative would require a 2/3 vote by the people at the annual town meeting. So there you go.
Questions for Danielle?
No, I think she covered it, and it's covered in the. What is the penalty on the 4th one when people aren't notified?
Aren't notified. So what would happen
So is the developer liable?
No, the owner of the, you know, so not the developer who comes in, but like kind of the owner of the property that started the whole thing. So I don't know if that would count as the developer, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times it's one person who's splitting off a bunch of lots, and so basically they would just be in violation of the site plan review, and Chris would either not issue a building permit until it was rectified, or ask for that this be signed off of at the time that the building permit was submitted, because lots may be split or developed at different times. Like right now, we have current private road extension included splitting a lot 3 more times, and only one of them was developed at the time. So that means that with the building permit application, the next person will have to submit that road maintenance agreement. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, this is happening on my road.
Yeah.
Okay, we have an easement from Hancock Lumber. We negotiated a contract with Hancock that says once you build 5 houses in this development, they must start paying road maintenance.
Now is this a current road, like an existing road? Yeah. So existing roads are actually exempt unless they expand. Right. So.
Right. Well, they're going to be putting more houses in there.
Yeah.
So, but none of the people who have built their houses there were told that they need to pay road maintenance.
Yeah, see, so that's this is what we're trying to correct, is so that people become informed. So if they come in for a road extension, then everybody will have to sign off on it. But for all existing roads right now, no, I'm sorry.
Other questions? I'll be with you a sec, Louise. Other questions? Anybody from the public? Questions? Louise?
Is that who that is?
Louise Lester, 10 Hartley Lane. Does this have anything to do with the private road associations? Does it influence that at all?
We don't really get involved with the private road associations. It's more just with the road maintenance agreements. So making sure that people are aware of how the road is maintained. So,
Does it have anything to do with who pays for that road maintenance?
No. That's all done internally. That's handled by the road maintenance,
So that's when the private road association might kick in.
Right. So I think this is also pushing people to become more organized. So instead of having informal, I'm selling this to my brother and I'm gonna, plow this. This is making it so that it has to be formalized versus,
Okay, so it theoretically could lead to a private road association.
Yes.
But it's for new and expanding roads.
Correct.
Currently.
Currently, yeah, because that it says new private street or expansion of existing.
So if yours expands,
Well, it's already been expanded.
Yeah, because wasn't the Hancock project, isn't that a phased project? Yeah, so.
Hard to do. They're all
Mm.
different.
Other
Okay.
questions?
I'll make a motion to approve Article 1 with the select board being in favor.
Second.
Further questions? All those in favor?
Make a motion to approve Article 2 with the select board being in favor.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Approve Article 3 with the select board being in favor.
Second.
Oh, questions? All those in favor?
You want to do this one?
No,
I'll make a motion to approve Article 4 with the select board being in favor. Second.
All those in favor? Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody wants to? Thank you all for coming.
Oh, can I get a plug for the...
You can. It's public comment. Plug away.
Hi. Just want to remind
Who are you?
everybody.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Diana Freusland. Do I have to say where I live and all that, or school board member and
I'll
Daggett
say you're
Road?
from Raymond.
Just gonna say you're from
Raymond.
There you go.
Tomorrow evening is the hearing for the proposed changes of the cost-sharing formula, which will be held at the Wyndham High School Auditorium at 6:30. So if you have questions, please come.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public want to speak this evening? Selectmen, have anything to say this evening? Teresa?
Get surprised. Okay, I'm gonna bring this out. This cost-sharing formula that they're doing tomorrow night scares me big time. And I wanna put it out there. Because I know the RSU withdrawal committee asked the school board members when they met with us to try and come back with more of an explanation of how this all works as far as breaking down the expenditures. Because if you look at the actual cost sharing, and why I'm saying this is people need to get out and ask questions tomorrow night at the meeting. And it may not be a definite yes vote, because if we're lowering our taxes with the cost sharing, yes, that's what we wanted to do. But on the other hand, is we're gonna pay in the long run because of what they're recommending. As far as everything that has to be done, changed, or whatever, is gonna have to be paid by Raymond people. And one of the things they have on here is large capital expenditures that do not require new debt will be treated in a similar manner in the basic cost-sharing formula. Well, it's not going to be a cost-sharing formula if there's no debt to it. So that makes no sense at all on that one. But I don't think, my concern is they put this together and they don't have it all figured out 100% that they can answer everybody's questions. Joe brought up a really good point. He goes, how does this work? He says, if Raymond wants to do something in the town of Raymond, do we put together a committee and then take it to the RSU board, and the RSU board votes on it? But we're an RSU, so we should be voting on it as a consolidated unit instead of separately. And does the RSU board say no to what Raymond wants to do in their own town, to their own schools, especially since we have to pay for it? So people really need to get out and ask questions tomorrow night. It is a huge concern of mine. Yes, they're doing the cost sharing, but guess what? They're coming in the back door, and I think they're whacking us as far as not being fair. I don't think they're being fair at all, because this is not a consolidation at all. And if you say you want to be consolidated, then you don't do this kind of stuff. Just my 2 cents.
Joe?
So, we're gonna have a meeting Thursday night for the withdrawal committee. It looks like it's gonna be postponed for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're trying to get a budget together to see what it would cost to run Raymond on its own. And, that process is taking longer than people thought it would, so just to let people know, we will not be having a meeting on Thursday. It will probably happen sometime by the end of the month.
Caitlin sent out an email.
Yeah, Caitlin will send out an email to all the members. Yeah, I was concerned, we had the administration from the schools come to our meeting, our last withdrawal committee meeting, and they didn't have answers to how this works, which was troubling to me. So, I think a lot of people need to be there tomorrow, ask questions, find out how this all works. Unfortunately, I have a prior commitment that I can't get out of. One of the other things that's going to be important in all this is I like the phase in of this cost sharing formula is troubling. It's a 3% drop a year, right, for 3 years. I don't understand why they don't just do it all at once. It means that Raymond taxpayers are going to continue to subsidize the RSU for 3 more years, more than we should. And so that's why I think it's an issue. It's Raymond taxpayer dollars. So that phase in, to me, it should happen within 2 years at the most, or if not all at once.
So lots of questions.
Yeah.
And I think on top of that is they're having a show of hands on March 18th from 6 to 6:15, a 15-minute window that's going to make a huge change to yay or nay. And after going over this again, I don't know if it's a yes or no vote, because Dawn's response to Joe was, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Dawn Davis.
Yes.
Davis.
And so when you put out something as huge as this, and the time and the committee that they said that they put into this, and there's no answers for people, they can't be informed. They can't make an informed vote. So to me, I say vote no then, just because until we get more answers as to how it goes. But we need a cost sharing plan, so I want to say yes. So you know what I'm saying? So it's really tough, because they don't even know what's considered a large expenditure.
Right.
And we had, the meeting was a joke. It was.
No. All right, let's mark it on that.
That's just my selectman comment.
I know.
So lots of questions tomorrow night, and
Yes.
possibly further questions.
Yeah.
Louise?
Louise Lester, 10 Hartley Lane. Shortly after the meeting of the RSU committee, I had rather a lengthy discussion, I don't think she'll mind me saying so, with Mrs. Freunslin, about the vote, which will be scheduled at this point at March 18th. And it is an up and down vote as to whether we go ahead with this or not. Her question to me was about paper ballot. And I told her the dynamics that we use at town meeting for using paper ballot voting, and she seemed quite positive of the possibility of that happening, which made me feel a lot better. I hope that that's what happens ultimately, when it does come down to a vote, whether it's March 18th or another date. I also have great concern over the staging of the payments. It seems to me, if I got it right, and I might not, when I read through the agreement for the foundation of the RSU, they could actually readjust that amount annually. They were supposed to have done it not longer than 5 years, but it should have been done in 3. And if my math is correct, if they extend it out 3 years, suddenly we're 5 years behind. And I don't like it. I think that if they chose to wait 5 years, then they're going to take the slap in the face all at once. I don't see any reason why we should have to, as you say, support the RSU and the town of Wyndham for those 3 years that they want to stagger the payments. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Other selectmen comments? Other topics? I have a couple of things from the library this month. There was a strategic planning meeting at the library where over 25 townspeople attended to do a strategic plan for 2014 through 19. Attendees were involved in brainstorming about the future of the library, strengths and weaknesses, and it included staff from the town office and members of this board. And the library wanted to say thank you for all those who came out and helped to start the development of the strategic plan. An event coming up, excuse me, on Sunday, November 22nd. Excuse me. Sunday, February 22nd. Thanks, Don. November would be a way away, wouldn't it? On Sunday, February 22nd, from 1 to 3, you're invited to join at the Raymond Village Library for a knit or crochet a scarf to donate for breast cancer. Please check the library website for more information on that. That sounds like a very worthy cause. That's the update I have from the library at this point. Anybody got anything else? Board members? Don, town manager report?
All right. We have to confirm the date for the next regular meeting. I have Tuesday, March 10th.
Tuesday, March 10th.
I will not be here.
Other members? Tuesday, March 10th. Joe will probably do it without you.
Okay.
All right, Tuesday, March 10th it is. What else you got, Don?
Well, hopefully not being too repetitive or opening up this topic again, but we, as Diana said, as you've all said, we have the RSU cost sharing public hearing tomorrow night, 6:30, Wyndham High School Auditorium. We have the Sebago Lake Rotary Ice Fishing Derby on Saturday and Sunday, February 14th and 15th.
That's this Saturday and Sunday?
That's right.
Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
If you bring a
Take
fish
it.
home, is
Yeah.
that a good
Yeah.
Valentine's Day
As long
thing?
as it's gutted, yeah.
No, I'm not going.
McDonald's is not a date.
Spend Valentine's Day on the ice with someone you love.
Sitting in a little
Exactly.
shack.
Yeah.
Sitting in a shack.
Sitting in a
By a
shack.
hole in the water.
Bring, yeah.
The Budget Finance Committee and Selectmen budget reviews are on February 23rd, 6:30 p.m., March 2nd, 6:30 p.m. And then I have one that Bruce wanted me to add, and that is that he is having an elected officials academy, and where you're going to have an introduction to the life of a firefighter EMS provider at the Raymond Fire Rescue Department, see some interesting demonstrations, learn about what it's like to be a member, witness a cardiac arrest call, learn what it takes to become a member, see the jaws of life in action, work with our apparatus and equipment, light breakfast and lunch provided. That's on March 7th, Saturday, March 7th, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Public Safety Building. So if you want to spend a day in the life of public safety, Bruce hopes you'll sign up for his Elected Officials Academy. I think that's what I have.
That's all you got, Don?
That's all I got. I mean,
Joe?
I could go on about snow. You want me to talk about snow?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Joe, you want to do the warrants?
All right. Payroll expense summary. Make a motion to approve $84,965.44.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous?
Treasurer's warrant. Make a motion to approve $221,273.67.
Second.
All those in favor? While those are being signed, I would ask somebody to make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session under Title I, MRSA subsection 4056A, the town manager evaluation and consideration of contract extension. Second.
All those in favor?
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All those in favor? There's nothing to report from the executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much.